You see the fancy pools, the buffets, the ocean views. But what about the parts cruise lines don't talk about? From hidden morgues and onboard jails to what really happens if someone falls overboard, and plenty more. We're diving into the questions passengers always wonder but never ask out loud. And the least asked, most fascinating one? That's waiting for you at the end. Question 1. Can a cruise ship really leave without you?
No. No. What? No way. Oh no, he's missing. That's his ship. He's gonna miss his ship. Oh no. It's leaving. Oh no, it's already leaving. Oh, I feel so bad. That's his ship. Oh my goodness. What did he just drop? What? No. Bro. No way. Guys, you seeing this? You seeing this? He missed his ship. I feel so bad. Oh, it's this ship. Oh. No way. Oh my goodness. Bro, come on, you should know where your ship is. Oh, yeah.
Believe it or not, yes, the ship can sail without you, and more often than you might think. On embarkation day, it's easy to assume you've got time. Between airport check-ins, shuttle rides, and bag drops, minutes quietly vanish. The crew doesn't wait. Once the all-aboard signal goes and port authorities give clearance, the ship sails. One tragic example shows just how strict that timeline is. Aboard the Coral Adventurer in Australia, an 80-year-old passenger felt unwell after a shore hike. The ship departed at 3:40 p.m., not realizing she was missing until dinner. A head count should have caught her, but it didn't, and her body was found the next morning. In other cases, a family of 9 was left stranded in Alaska in July 2024 after their Norwegian Cruise Line ship sailed without them. They were on an excursion to a lumberjack show in Ketchikan, Alaska, booked through the cruise line. When they returned, the local tour operator told them their bus was full and that another would be coming, but it never arrived. The ship departed, leaving them without their belongings or medications. They incurred thousands of dollars in expenses and faced major challenges getting home. Norwegian Cruise Line later agreed to reimburse the family for their expenses and provide a future cruise credit. Another incident involved 8 passengers, including an 80-year-old woman named Julia Lenkoff, who suffered a medical emergency and was taken to a local hospital for treatment. Because the Norwegian Cruise Line ship couldn't dock due to low tide, the other passengers who had gone ashore were also left behind as the vessel sailed to the next port. The group was stranded on the island of São Tomé and Príncipe, facing significant hardship after Julia Lenkoff was released from the hospital with no money or belongings. Norwegian Cruise Line eventually reimbursed the stranded passengers for their travel expenses to rejoin the ship. Both cases involved a mix of miscommunication between tour operators, unexpected medical issues, and a failure to verify that all passengers had returned to the ship before departure. So yes, the ship will leave if you're not back on time. If you're left behind, you'll have to arrange and pay for your own travel to reconnect at the next port. And always make sure you have your passport if cruising overseas or have a valid government-issued photo ID when leaving a cruise ship. Question number 2. What happens if a passenger passes away during the cruise? It's something no one likes to think about, but cruise lines are fully prepared for it. Every large cruise ship is required by law to have a small, refrigerated morgue on board, usually located near the medical center. That can hold a few bodies if needed. With thousands of passengers, many being older travelers, natural deaths do sometimes occur at sea. When it happens, the ship's medical team steps in immediately. The area is treated as a medical situation, not a public event. The person's traveling companions are offered privacy and support, and the captain notifies authorities at the next port to arrange for the body to be respectfully transferred to land. If the voyage is short, the remains are usually kept safely on board until the ship returns to its home port. On longer itineraries, arrangements can sometimes be made to disembark at the next major stop, depending on family wishes and local laws. Cruise lines handle these moments quietly and professionally. You might occasionally hear coded phrases over the PA like Operation Rising Star for a death or Operation Bright Star for a medical emergency. And while it sounds morbid, the actual number of deaths at sea is very low. Roughly 200 per year worldwide, out of more than 20 million passengers. It's sad when it happens, but it's handled with complete dignity behind the scenes. Of course, not every emergency ends so quietly. Sometimes, The entire ship goes on alert in seconds. Question 3. What happens if someone goes overboard? It's rare, but when someone goes overboard, the ship reacts instantly. The bridge triggers alarms, slows or turns the ship, and crew rush to their emergency stations to start a full-scale search. Modern cruise ships now use a mix of thermal cameras, radar, and motion sensors to detect when something or someone goes overboard, even at night. These systems alert the bridge automatically, allowing the captain to mark the GPS location within seconds. The faster that happens, the higher the chance of rescue. And it does work. In 2018, a woman fell from the Norwegian Star and survived nearly 10 hours in the water before being rescued alive, one of the longest survival cases ever recorded. In another case, a man who went overboard from Symphony of the Seas was found after a massive search using radar and infrared tracking. And just recently, a 5-year-old girl fell overboard from the Disney Dream, and her father jumped in after her. Passengers immediately raised the alarm, and within 20 minutes, both were rescued alive by the crew's fast response boat. Every cruise line trains constantly for these emergencies, and while the ocean is vast, modern detection systems and quick human response mean survival stories are far more common than they used to be. Still, if you ever want to see the kind of teamwork it takes to run a ship safely, you don't have to look overboard. Just below deck. Question 4. Do cruise ships have jails on board? Yes, and they're called brigs. Every large cruise ship has a small secured holding area used for passengers who break serious rules. Think theft, assault, or behavior that threatens safety. It's not like the movies with iron bars and flashing lights. It's more like a plane-locked cabin watched by ship security. If someone ends up there, they stay confined until the ship reaches the next port, where local police or port authorities take over. Most passengers will never even know it exists. And most never need to. Being drunk and loud won't get you locked up, but getting violent, stealing, or committing a real crime absolutely will. So yes, there's a jail on board. It's just not one you ever want to see. And while the brig is hidden deep below deck, that's also where most of the real action on the ship happens. In the cruise world. Question 5. Where do the crew actually sleep and live? Most passengers never think about it, but cruise ships are like floating cities, and thousands of people actually live on board full-time. Beneath the guest decks is an entire hidden world where the crew sleep, eat, and unwind between long shifts. Crew cabins are compact, usually shared between 2 or 3 people, with bunk beds, a tiny desk, and just enough room for personal belongings. It's not glamorous, but it's efficient. And after 12-hour workdays, most crew don't care about space as long as the air conditioning works. Every crew member also gets access to shared bathrooms, laundry rooms, and a private cafeteria known as the crew mess. The food there is surprisingly good. Home-style dishes from dozens of countries, cooked to keep everyone fueled and happy. But the real surprise is what's further down. The crew-only world passengers never see. There's a small gym, a mini store, a barber, and even a bar where crew from every nation hang out after hours. Karaoke nights, card games, and movie screenings happen regularly. It's their version of the guest lounges upstairs. The officers have their own private lounge and dining area, and the hierarchy is clear but respectful. It's not all luxury and laughter, but there's pride in it. This hidden world keeps the cruise running smoothly while everyone else is on vacation. And while the crew keep the ship spotless, there's another question people often whisper about. What happens to all the waste? Question 6. Do cruise ships dump waste or sewage into the ocean? It's one of those things everyone secretly wonders, but never wants to ask out loud. Where does all that go? Years ago, some ships really did dump untreated sewage straight into the ocean. That was before modern rules, technology, and, well, public outrage. These days, that would get a cruise line fined faster than you can say sail away. Modern ships are basically floating cities with their own mini water treatment plants hidden deep below deck. Every toilet flush, shower drain, and kitchen sink flows into a maze of pipes, leading to tanks where the water gets filtered, treated, and disinfected using bacteria, UV light, and other advanced systems that scrub it clean. Only when it's completely clean, often cleaner than what some cities release on land, can it be discharged, and even then only far out at sea under strict international MARPOL laws. So no, cruise ships aren't secretly leaving a toilet trail behind them. Every flush goes through one of the most tightly controlled systems at sea. Of course, clean water doesn't just disappear. Cruise ships have to make it too. Question 7. How do cruise ships make fresh water at sea? It's one of those things almost every cruiser wonders. How do ships have endless running water in the middle of the ocean? The answer is, they don't just bring it with them, they actually make it on board. Modern cruise ships use massive desalination systems that pull seawater straight from the ocean and remove the salt to create fresh, drinkable water. There are two main methods: evaporation and reverse osmosis. In evaporation, heat from the ship's engines is used to boil seawater, turn it into vapor, and then condense it back into fresh water. Reverse osmosis is a bit more high-tech. It pushes seawater through fine membranes that separate out the salt. The result? Clean water that's safe to drink, shower in, or fill the pools with. Ships still top up their supply in port occasionally, but for the most part, the ocean itself provides all the water you'll ever need while cruising. Kinda makes your morning coffee sound a little more impressive, doesn't it? And once you've got all that water, what happens to the food? Question 8. What happens to leftover food on a cruise? Cruise ships prepare thousands of meals a day, and not everything gets eaten. But don't worry. Nothing that's been served or touched ever gets reused. Once food hits a buffet or a table, it's done. Sealed or unopened items like packaged snacks or bottled drinks are often set aside for crew use or donation when possible. Behind the scenes, every bit of waste is sorted carefully. Food scraps that can't be reused are ground up, processed, and treated before being released into the ocean, but only far from shore, under strict environmental rules. Some of the newest cruise ships are even greener. They use onboard biodigesters that turn food waste into energy or fertilizer. Others compact it and offload it at ports for recycling or local disposal. It's a massive operation. Thousands of guests, dozens of menus, and not a single reused crumb. When it comes to food safety at sea, cruise kitchens don't take chances. And with that much food and water on board, you might wonder, what if they actually run out? Question 9. Do cruise ships ever run out of food or fuel? It sounds impossible, right? Thousands of hungry passengers, miles from land. What if the buffet runs dry? Luckily, cruise lines plan every voyage down to the last bread roll and drop of diesel. Before a ship ever leaves port, teams load on literal tons of food. Steaks, fruit, coffee, desserts. Enough to feed a small town for weeks. It's all calculated based on passenger numbers, trip length, and even destination. People eat more on cold cruises and less in the tropics. True story. And it's not just food. Ships also bunker. That's the fancy word for refueling. In major ports, they take on hundreds of thousands of liters of marine fuel at once, plus backup supplies for emergencies. Can things go wrong? Occasionally. A storm delay or port change might throw off the schedule, but ships always carry extra reserves. In rare cases, a supply vessel can meet them mid-ocean for a top-up. Though it's about as dramatic as watching paint dry. So no, the ship won't suddenly run out of dinner or diesel halfway through your vacation. You're far more likely to run out of room for dessert before they ever run out of supplies. And if you think running out of supplies sounds stressful, wait until you hear about some of the truly bizarre emergencies captains have faced. Question 10. What's the weirdest or rarest emergency a captain has to deal with? Most people think it's storms or medical issues. And those do happen, but captains also face some truly strange situations. There have been cruises where a fog machine used during an onboard show accidentally triggered the ship's sprinkler system, flooding public areas and stopping elevators mid-cruise. Then there was the infamous poop cruise, when an engine fire on the Carnival Triumph left the ship without power. Toilets stopped working, and the crew had to manage one of the messiest emergencies in cruising history. One of the more bizarre modern incidents happened aboard the Norwegian Bliss, when a woman became stuck inside a transparent water slide that loops 159 feet above the ocean. The clip went viral worldwide, and thankfully, she was rescued unharmed after a few tense minutes dangling over open water. Other emergencies involve sheer unpredictability, rogue waves hitting out of nowhere, forcing the crew to secure furniture mid-dinner, or false alarms like smoke detectors triggered by hairspray and man-overboard sensors going off because of deck chairs blowing into the ocean. Every situation is handled seriously, even the silly ones, because at sea, safety always comes first. So yes, captains deal with wild stories, but most of the time, it's not the ocean causing drama, it's the people. Crazy, right? And that's just scratching the surface of what really happens at sea. Pretty soon, you'll be the one answering other people's cruise questions. If part 2 is already live, keep the binge going. You'll find it right here. Otherwise, spend a few minutes in our Airport Tips and Tricks playlist. Those tips might just save you from missing embarkation altogether.